Hello. Okay, so started on the frame. Got got the motor mounts in and started putting everything else together, painting a few nuts and bolts, getting ready to go. Pulled the A-arms out. Got the lowers here, uppers. And I started putting the bushings in. And then, of course, we're going to bolt on the upper and lower ball joints. So I go to put bushings in. And let's see, this is the passenger side. There's the front. Here's the bushings. You've got one, obviously a little bigger than the other. Go to put it in. Sorry. And it, yeah, I gotta get this. I'm looking at too many things. So there's the passenger side. I go to put this one in. It fits. That's the way that's gonna go on the front with the little nub. Kind of does a holdout. This one you can see is doesn't have the same extension as the front. So this one goes in there for the rear. This is 79 Firebird Trans Am. Doesn't fit. So I started doing a little research. Called the guy that I had got these from. Went online. I went to Napa. Called Napa. Went to the NapaOnline.com whatever. And it comes up with the same bushings. So this one, the bigger one, is like we'll call it a 1.3 inch across here. And this one is obviously a lot smaller. It's like 1.2 something. So there's about an 1/8 of an inch slop around here. So I go online, I look them up, call Napa because they sometimes have better books. And I called a guy that seems to know quite a bit about this stuff too. I've done a dozen of these cars and never ran into this. And of course, it would have been a lot easier if I knew I was going to do a bunch of them and I had kept all my part numbers, but I would build a Trans Am, then I'd go build a Corvette, then I'd build a Camaro, and I just never kept up with it because you think it's just like cars. You think parts are going to be there forever. So what we ended up finding out, or what a guy told me, was at the end of 79, they started running out of parts and just using whatever they could find. And this might be an 80-81 style, which obviously it is, because I put a micrometer across here. The back one and the front are the same. So, somebody'd say, well, they just did an A-arm change and you put the wrong ones on. Well, that could be, but I'm pretty sure this car was totally original because even the spark plug wires were still original. And I don't think anything had been taken apart. But just to double check, I went out and looked at another frame I've got, and it has the same exact A-arms because I thought, well, I could end up switching A-arms, but I can't do that. So it looks like what'll work are the 80-81 bushings. And so I've got a set of those coming. We'll find out for sure. But that's just, it's a thing I ran into. I want to tell you about it. The 80 and 81, the front and rear bushings, I think are the same. Because if I measure across here, I get like 1.39, 1.3875 across here. So they're damn near the same thing, but one is still longer than the other. They may be the same diameter in 8081, but they're going to be height difference there. Someone I'm calling like, well, just use two fronts. Well, you can't do that, because if you put this in here, right? I'm sorry. If you put that in there like that, you've only got enough room for that bushing. Let me do it this way. Yeah, lucky I didn't lose that like everything else that falls on the floor. So if you put these on here, and then put the, put the short one on the back, you can tell it's only going to fit there. If you tried to use two long ones, the shoulder would be, if I tried to use two long ones, it would be longer there. The shoulder would be out here, half an inch away from this. So that's just not right. So it was a suggestion. Of course, it came from a parts guy at Napa, and you got to take all that with a grain of salt. So here's the difference. One's taller than the other. On 79, some of them, and it might be 74 or 75 up to 79, and that's obviously going to be some 79s. These will be smaller in diameter. Now, another way to get around all that, hindsight, is just do away with this altogether. Do away with the rubber bushings. There are so many places out there now making tubular A-arms with solid bushings. You just gotta grease them. I mean, but this was original. I'm trying to make the car original. But if you just absolutely want to upgrade something, I'd just go with that. Get those arms with the solid bushings in there, and not even worry about it. But that's that. Other thing I ran into, I'm telling you, man, finding parts that work worth a shit anymore is hard. These are the lower control arm bushings, and this one fits fine. It's actually made in tube. The uppers have that round right there, and it's kind of pinched. And as you can see, I mean, when I got it and pulled it out of the box, it looked like crimped hexagon. Wasn't even close to being round. So I ended up kind of just drilling that out on the inside, and then took a drill, put some emery cloth on it, and actually that ended up getting spaced out just a little bit. I could have used smaller bolts, but that wasn't as good, I think, as doing it this way, because it was so out of shape, crimped, weird. And that's the second set I've looked at that was like that. So I just put a drill bit on there. I should have took a picture beforehand because they were really crimped bad. And I just drilled those out. And I'm not talking, it's like 5 or 10 thousandths. It wasn't much, but you want that bolt to go in there and move around a little bit. So I just put a big drill bit on my drill, wrapped some sandpaper around it. It was difficult, took me about an hour, but at least they frickin' fit now. And that's just with everything. When you put brakes on, we'll get to that here pretty soon, but you'll find that when you put brakes on, they will not slide back and forth like they're supposed to, because somewhere in India, whatever, they've coated these and they've coated them too much, or whatever happens. But like right in here where it rides on the pins and things, it won't slide. So I've actually had to take, now this one you'll stay stationary. This one over here is the one that'll move a little. I've actually put them all together and gone in and sanded, take a die grinder, whatever, clean that out, put a little more epoxy, put some paint back over it, because they just won't move. That's just the tolerances on crap anymore. And, you know, that's with everything. You know, I've talked about it before, but I was just watching another video today. A guy they were talking about flat lifters and them ruining cams and all that. It's the same thing. Tolerances are bad. They're not cupped right. The finish on the bottom is not right to allow them to spin. And everybody, you know, that's why I used in this motor here, we used a roller setup. And I won't use a flat solid lifter like that anymore. I'll always end up using a roller stuff. But I'm getting so damn old, it hurts to get out here and work half the time anymore. This may be one of the last cars I build. I'll do some more painting. But man, this crawling around on the floor under stuff, that's for the birds. I've got a good lift, but just sometimes you got to do things. But that was the deal on this. You just have to, and you can find them. I've found just the right ones for an 80, but I'm not finding any new stuff. Moog through Napa doesn't even list them anymore. Apparently they quit making them. Don't know why, who knows. But I found TRW had some, Meva something. I found them, and I say I found them. They're not, some of them, they're not listed right, but if you look at the dimensions and know what they are, like I knew the diameter, I knew what it had to be here, I would look for that, and then I would just look for the right length, and they would work on GM cars, so I would use those. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Just something I get caught up on. I'm actually going to put some of these the upper ball joints in. May even hold off because there's still a chance I may end up having to go get new uppers. But I can work on these. I'll go ahead and press these in all the way. And I'll get back to you. I have no idea what I'm going to do next. Kind of have to jump around because parts come, parts aren't here. Then I got to wait. But we're going to get back started on it. I'm just going to press these in. All I've got is, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just do another video on pressing those in. I just wanted this one to show you what the bushings were doing. So I'll start another one here in a little bit when we do the, what tools I use to push these bushings and things in with. See you in a bit.